Accepting that all views distract from the road to Nibbana, how tolerant should Buddhists be to other views and religions, which may just be different perspectives? I heard Buddhism is meant to be tolerant to other views, but how tolerant is tolerant? Good question. I don't know, Buddhism tolerant to other views, it depends what you mean by tolerant. And that's really what you're asking, no? What do we mean by tolerant? How should we be tolerant? In what ways should we be tolerant? We should approach views and religions in the same way that we approach everything. No, everything. Okay, everything should be approached in the same way. With mindfulness, with clarity, with knowledge of the ultimate reality involved in the experience, involved in the situation. So religions don't exist. Views.
May I add openness?
And openness.
Open with an open, accepting mind.
Yeah, level, balanced mind, maybe. Because that's the question we're dealing with here, is whether you should be fully open-minded to give the benefit of the doubt. We were talking about this earlier, no? That there is a sense of openness, even in bad things, right? Because if it's bad, it's objectively bad. So yeah, open as well. You don't have to have prejudice even against bad things. So if it's a wrong view or so on, you shouldn't have the idea this is wrong. You shouldn't have a aversion to it. There should be a openness. Yes, so I agree. Just had to think about it. Because if it's wrong, it's going to be objectively wrong. And by giving it a fair hearing, it's going to fail. It's going to fail the test of usefulness. And that's really the only way, the only litmus test to tell you whether something is good or bad is objective observation. And non-judgmental, I guess, is really what is meant by open. To give it the fair trial, and let it say its piece without any partiality, not being favorable towards it, not being unfavorable. So why I talk about this is because we don't aim to have any, because our intellectual I don't want you to think I want you to be intellectual, but the activity that should go on in the mind is that this is wrong view. We come to see this through the practice. When you practice vipassana meditation, you come to see how, as I said, how body and mind works. You come to see what are body and mind, what is reality, it's body and mind, how they work together. They work together in terms of cause and effect, and so doing bad deeds does lead to bad result, doing good deeds does lead to good result. And things like God don't exist, the Creator God doesn't exist. There are things that cannot exist in the system of reality. They're impossibilities in this system of reality. So if someone tells you God created the world and created the universe in 7 days, has a plan for you, and at some point in the future He's going to give you eternal bliss in heaven, if you believe in Him. No. This is impossible this is impossible. This is impossible. No, it can't occur, and it's completely 100% unbelievable to someone who has understood reality. It can't be the case that this could be true. So one knows in one's mind, I would say intellectually, but what I mean by that is that's the thought that goes through one's mind. That's all I mean by intellectually. One doesn't come to that logically, but the mental activity that goes on in the mind will be, this is wrong view. Whenever say an enlightened person, or even just a vipassana meditator hears these things, this is correct for this to come in through the mind. But that doesn't mean that shouldn't have a great deal of impact on how one interacts with people of other religions. So this is where the tolerance comes in. In the mind, in one's intellectual mind, one has no tolerance for it. One can't have tolerance for it. One can't entertain this view and say, well, maybe they're right. One can say that in one's mind, but one can never have the feeling that this might be right at all. One say, okay, well, let's look and see whether this is right. But it's impossible that one could come to any conclusion that this is right, or even entertain it, if they have seen reality. I mean, that's really just the case. If I have something in my hand, as long as you've never seen what's in my hand, then you can believe me when I tell you there's a diamond in my hand, or there's a frog in my hand, or whatever I tell you. You can still entertain that. But once you've seen what's in my hand, then you can't believe me when I say there's this or that. So if I open it and show you there's nothing, then if I say there's a frog in my hand, you can't believe me. Once you've seen it for yourself, this is the way with anything. And reality, of course, is the most absolute in that way. So you're not tolerant at all internally. Externally is totally different, and I think that's how this should be understood. That we don't entertain other religions and saying, well, they're all teaching people to be good, so they're all or they're all equal or something. But we can, and we should, pick out what is good in all religions and say that is good. As the Buddha said, he said, when a person says something that's in line with the truth, I agree with them. When a person that says something that's out of line with the truth, I disagree with them. So how you react to the person, how you react to other people and other religions, and how you talk about them and speak about them is a totally different matter. Because if you sit around saying, oh, these other religions are horrible, then, well, that's not a terribly Buddhist way to behave. If you ridicule them, or if you say mean and nasty things to them or about them, then what it shows is that you're lacking in Buddhist practice. A person who is Buddhist will be, I think maybe the word isn't tolerant, will be, mindful is the best word. You could say respectful, or you could say cordial, or so on. But the real word is mindful. And so because they act in a mindful way, it could be different for some people. Some people mindful might just be to not say anything. For some people mindful might be to interact with the person and speak cordially to them, and agree with them when they talk about good things. So when a Christian says, you reap what you sow, we say, yeah, that's so true. Or when they say, blessed are the meek, you say, yes, that's true. And you can even say, Jesus really had some good things to say, for example. You can say that about all religions. That's, I think, a good thing to do on a practical level. If you're just looking for tips on how to deal with people from other religions, I think that's the best, is to find the good things in them and stick to that, and try to do your best to be silent and avoid the controversial issues. But that has nothing to do with how tolerant you are, I think. Except, see, it's a difficult word, tolerant, because you certainly tolerate them. And if they want to kill you, you tolerate that. If they say jihad time and they say convert or die, you say, okay, go ahead, do your worst. That's tolerant. So in a sense, you're completely tolerant. But you're not tolerant in the sense that they say, believe in our religion or we'll kill you, or you should believe in our religion. You say, okay, I'll go with that. Or our religion is equal. You will never agree with them on that. Right? But I guess that is still within tolerance, no? Tolerant in the sense that you will never be angry about the other religion. You'll never reject it as a negative thing. But you will reject it 100% in the mind. And if they ask you your honest opinion and you have to give it, you'll say, that's wrong view. You'll say that is not in line with reality, or you might try to find some better way to say it. But it works on two levels. What you believe for yourself and how you interact with other people, which I think are two very, very different spheres of activity.
I have nothing to add to that.
Mm-hmm.